Hey friends, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com, and today I want to talk to you about the key ingredient to getting killer recordings. So we're wrapping up what I've called the $300 studio challenge. Don't know what that is? All I did was buy $300 worth of gear to see if I could record and mix an entire full band production on it and have it sound really solid with only $300 for two reasons. One, I'm a crazy person, and two, a lot of people doubted that that's even possible. And the reason people doubt that is because they have a prejudice against gear that costs a certain amount. We have a bias towards gear that's expensive, and we sort of are judgmental towards gear that's cheap. And we do that in any niche. It's not just audio. We do that with cars, we do that with cameras, and there's some element to you get what you pay for in terms of build quality and reputation, and there's some really great brands. It's not that they're not good, but what I'm all about is finding what is really the minimal threshold you need to make great music so that we can stop talking about gear, because that's such the dominant factor, the dominant topic in all our conversations and forums and on blog posts and in emails and questions I get is, what do I need to buy? What will I buy that will take me to that next level? And unfortunately, that's the absolute wrong question to be asking. It has nothing to do with gear. Nothing to do with gear. It has everything to do with your skill set and your creativity and how good the song is. But there's a missing key ingredient to really great recordings that I want to take this moment to teach you, because it will help you, and it was proved very true in this challenge. So for some context, I recorded and mixed an entire song on gear I've never used. I was obviously learning how to use it and get the best out of it with the limitations I had. But here's the key ingredient to getting great recordings and mixes, and this is really, really important for anyone that's watching. Familiarity is the key. Being familiar with your equipment, because the opposite of familiarity is unfamiliarity, meaning you don't really know the limitations or the strengths or the weaknesses of your gear, and that means you can never quite get the full potential out of your recordings and mixes. So for example, I wrote an article about the 4 key things and concepts you need to know how to get a great mix on any DAW. I wrote that earlier this week. Check that out, because that was true. No matter what DAW I was using, I jumped from Pro Tools to GarageBand and still could get a good mix because I understood these 4 key concepts. Some of that is going to translate no matter what gear you use, and I want you to know those concepts in recording and mixing. But here's one of the things that I want you to take away from this challenge, and that you can implement right now, no matter what gear you use, whether you've watched this challenge or not. It's if you can become familiar with your gear, you will have an edge. You will start to get better recordings and mixes. What I mean is learn everything that your microphone or microphones can do. What do they really sound like on everything? What do they sound like when you tilt them? What do they sound like when you're close, far away? What do they sound like in your room? How familiar are you with your microphone? Is it overly bright? Is that one of its weaknesses on a female voice, let's say, or a bright guitar amp? Is it just making things harsh? It's important to know. If you're familiar with that microphone, then you know its weaknesses, so you can compensate. No mic is perfect, okay? It's the same thing with your monitors or your headphones. This was one of the biggest challenges for me during this entire process, was working on a pair of headphones I've never used. That pair of headphones was my only reference point during the entire recording phase. And in the mixing phase, I brought in some iPod earbuds because I'm a little more familiar with those to keep the cost thing down still. But still, it's hard to make sonic decisions on a piece of gear that you're listening to, headphones or monitors, that you are unfamiliar with. Reference tracks are amazingly helpful, and they are the secret sauce to learning a new set of speakers or learning a new pair of headphones. Or even when you already know your headphones and speakers, they are how you know what a good mix should sound like. But nothing beats really becoming familiar with your speakers and headphones. The same is true with your DAW. What your plugins sound like that come with your DAW, what your plugins can do, the limitations or sort of the cool things that they can do. When you're more familiar with what your tool set is, you can get a better recording and mix. Now this sounds obvious, and like many of my videos, half of you are going to tune out because you're like, duh. But the thing is you don't do this, okay? There's a lot of things that are obvious, but none of us do. And what I mean is this. We know that the more familiar we are with our gear, the better chances we have of making a good recording or mix with that gear. Yet, we go out and buy new gear all the time. We buy a pair of monitors and a year later see another pair of monitors and go, ooh, I'll get those. Those look cool. Or we read an article about a certain pair of monitors and we say, that seems like a really cool feature. I'm going to try those out. We do this with microphones a lot because we can get a couple of inexpensive microphones and we keep swapping them out and trying new microphones. We do this with plugins. There's a new plugin out every 5 hours, it seems, and the moment we hear of one that's really cool, and it probably is cool, we go out and try it. It's not that any of these things aren't cool. It's not that these new headphones or monitors or microphones or plugins aren't really awesome. It's just that they're all awesome and you can't use them all, and knowing and having them all is not going to help you. Having one or two of all those things, one or two microphones, one or two third-party plugins, one or two pair of headphones or speakers, one DAW that you're familiar with, knowing those well, that is the key to getting a good recording in a mix. That's the way to get untapped potential. That's how you're actually going to take your recordings. When people ask me, Graham, how do I get my mix from 80% of what I want to that 90, 95%? How do I take it into the top percent? What am I missing? Is it my converters? Is it acoustic treatment? Is it better monitors? Is it more saturation style plugins or analog summing? They're missing the point. I would say you aren't as familiar with your gear as possible. So just learn that thing or those things so well. And the only way you do that, boys and girls, is lots of work, lots of recordings, lots of mixes. Put in your reps, as John Acuff would say. The more you do this, two things happen. One, you get better at your craft. It's inevitable. It's like anything. You're never good at the beginning. The more you practice and practice and practice, you get better. You are inevitably going to get better the more you do this. Number two, the more familiar you become with your gear. And the more familiar you are with your gear, aka your tools, no matter what they are, the more damage you can do. The more power you have, the more control you have, the more you can wield and facilitate your creative ideas. And that's what all this comes down to, is a creative idea. I know I'm just sort of going off today because this is really a massive point. If you get this, you will have more freedom to just make music that actually sounds better, and you'll stop chasing gear. This whole challenge, it's interesting to see what people's comments are on the videos that I've been doing, whether it's the drum video or the mixing video or the vocals video. A lot of people are really getting what's going on here, and they're really encouraged by it. They're saying things like, man, if he can do that with $300 worth of stuff, then there's nothing I can't do with my $1,000 studio. Because let's be honest, $300 is pretty cheap for a complete studio. Cables and stands and pop filters and all. It's very inexpensive. I tried to go super low to prove a point, and some of you all are getting that, and it's encouraging you and motivating you, and you're actually saying, I want to stop this video and go make music. And that's when I know I'm succeeding at my job. But a lot of you are missing the point. And I want to encourage you to not miss out on this opportunity, because your recordings and mixes are going to suffer. And if that's what you want, is better recordings and mixes, then this is for you. A lot of you have just sort of snarkily, snidely, arrogantly, if I might say, criticized some of the stuff. Didn't like that drum sound. Well, does drum sound mono? Well, that mix has a lot of low mids that needs to be cut out. Or you should have used a gate on this. Or why did you do that double processing on that kick drum? Or the vocals have too much delay. Or why are you using the Smart Control in GarageBand when you could have used other plugins? And I would say to any of you that are thinking these peripheral thoughts that I would say are irrelevant, totally irrelevant, you're missing out. The point of this challenge was not that I was going to produce the exact same recording that I did with my normal gear. I almost assumed that would be impossible because I'm really familiar with my normal gear. That's why I use it day in and day out. This stuff I'd never used before. The point of this challenge was to show you that the threshold for quality has just dropped out. That's why my website is called The Recording Revolution, because this is a revolutionary time. You can take charge and make the music you want, even on $300, which is insanity. I wish it was that cheap even when I started, a mere 15, 20 years ago. The point of this challenge is to show you that gear isn't the difference maker. But what you all think, some of you all think, is the difference maker being gear. Like, well, Graham, your mix doesn't sound quite as good as your other stuff. It's not the gear, it's the unfamiliarity. I don't know these headphones very well. I don't know that microphone very well. I definitely don't record everything with that one mic. These were challenges for me that I tried to get a really good recording and mix, and I think I succeeded in that. It's something I'm really proud of, and it blows me away what's possible with this kind of gear. But if I became more familiar with this $300 set of equipment, I would get better and better and better. if I made record after record with this setup, I would start to get really, really good. And insert you instead of me. You will get really, really good if you just get familiar with your gear. Stop buying stuff. Stop reading about new stuff. And just get to making music. Just do more albums, finish more songs, finish more mixes, finish more recordings. Get anybody and everybody you can find into your studio to record. Day, night, weekends, whenever you have time, because that is how you're going to get better. And all I'm trying to do here is shatter myths to set you all free, to stop debating silly things and instead reorganize that energy and that focus and that passion that you all have for blasting each other and blasting me and others on forums and on my site. Refocus all that to creative music making. The world needs your music. You have nothing holding you back anymore. And if you are truly talented and truly committed, you can start making killer recordings and mixes in your studio with minimal cost. So, thanks for letting me rant today. I hope that those of you that this message was for got it and get it. I hope that those of you that understand that this departure for a month on the studio challenge, which some people have emailed me and said, when are you going to get back to regular tips and stuff that will really help me? I hope that those of you that understand that this actually is the most helpful thing I could be doing for you right now, get it and take it. Understand this challenge could be the biggest thing that has ever happened to you in terms of changing your mindset and the way you view music making and recording in the home studio. You don't have to be the best. You don't have the most expensive stuff. You don't need acoustic treatment, and you don't need a nice space. You just need a desire to make music and the ability to stick it out to get better, number one, and to get more familiar with your stuff. Now, if you haven't checked out any of the challenge videos with the $300 studio, go watch them. We recorded drums with one mic. We recorded all the guitars and bass with one mic and direct virtual amps and stuff. Vocals with no acoustic treatment on that side of the room, with no portable vocal booth, just standing in the middle of my reverberant room and singing. Percussion, virtual instruments on the musical typing function, mixing with $30 headphones in GarageBand with stock plugins. Go watch those videos, get ideas, get inspired, and then go make some great music. And then leave me a comment and let me know what this has inspired you to do. Let me know 6 months from now when you've done something and said, this was the genesis of that. I need to know that this is resonating with you because I know it's going to help a lot of you. It already has. I know it has because you've told me, but I want to hear your success story. I want to hear what you guys do with it. If you haven't already subscribed to the videos, just hit the button. We got a lot more videos coming. It's going to be an awesome year. We're going to do a lot of just solid recording and mix training, great content that's inspirational, but also very technical for those of you that want that. I'm going to continue to give you the best that I can with the time that I have. If you want my best material, get on the mailing list. There's a big button right there. Hit it, because what I'm going to do is send you my ebook, The #1 Rule of Home Recording. This is huge. This will change the way you focus your efforts in the studio. I'm also going to send you a video series called The Smart Start to Mixing, which will it's the foundation for getting a good mix. And then you're going to get all my best free content to your inbox so you won't miss it. Stuff that you probably aren't going to see on YouTube or anywhere else. So if you want more of that, sign up today. If you want to download the final mix that we did here in the $300 Studio Challenge, go over to the blog post that this video is sitting on. So you got to go to the site. There's going to be a link there for you to click and download the high-res version so you can take a listen to it in your studio, uncompressed, and just get, again, an idea of what was possible, what we did with this limited setup. Thanks for being a part of the revolution. Hope you have a great week making some great music. Take care.